Hello and welcome to the Flash Fantasy Variety Show. I am today's host, and on behalf of all of us here, we thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoy. The Night Errant. The sun hung heavy and huge in the sky, dominating the westward horizon with its golden, fiery glow. The distance was shrouded with the wavy lines of heat rising above the desert sands. Heinrich's sabatons left sunken marks in the sand as he walked. The only sounds he heard was that of the whistling of sand in the light breeze, and the clinks of his chainmail and armor pieces moving against each other as he walked. Even in the waning hours of the day, the heat was stifling. He had long since taken off his helmet and coif, tucking the bassinet into the leather pack he carried on his back, but the rest of his armor provided no respite from the relentless scorching of Wen's sun. It was 3 days past since he had left Hollow Hill, the last bastion of imperial and orderly settlement on the edges of the desert of Wen, and he knew there was still much farther to go before he reached his destination. The burden of his task weighed heavy on him as he walked. He was alone, a single man lost in the ocean of everlasting sand. He knew the direction in which he traveled, but nothing could make him feel less lost. The desert of Wen stretched out endlessly in all directions for longer than his eyes could possibly see. He was to reach Karen's crater in the center of the desert and slay whatever had taken up residence there. Storms had been brewing over the desert recently, large enough to be seen from the towers of Hollow Hill, filled with magic and violence. Winds woven with magic had been blowing out of Wen. The natural balance was most certainly off, and it all seemed to stem from that crater. Heinrich wiped the sweat off his forehead as he walked, thinking of his destination. Karen's crater, the impact site of the gargantuan asteroid that the mad wizard Karen's had called down when he had foolishly attempted to challenge the gods. The desert, once full of oasis and prosperity, was forever altered in a day. The strike of the asteroid obliterated everything in the desert, from human cities to men hills. The sand no longer bore fruit or plants, and the oases had all been covered along with the ruins of the civilization that once inhabited the desert. Wen was now a barren, empty plain of sand and death, stretching endlessly forwards. In the middle of it all was the crater, named after its foolish creator, and nothing else. The recent happenings had worried imperial officials, and so Heinrich was sent to the crater to figure out just what was afoot in that old graveyard. The trek would take approximately a week, he had been told, and unfortunately no horse would trot upon the ancient sands, so he was on foot, carrying a bag packed with just enough provisions to make the journey, his worn suit of armor on him, and his trusty longsword hanging by his side. The sun had started to set slightly, setting the sky ablaze in the eternal orange light. The heat had yet to relent, however, as Heinrich continued to trudge through the sands. He walked for another 2 hours as the sun continued to dip below the horizon and the orange hues began to turn purple. The sand he walked upon had solidified a bit. Outcroppings of sandstone poked above the dunes, and he was able to find sure footing on them, much flatter than the sand itself. As he walked, however, he heard a peculiar sound, almost like cracking something. Furtively, taking another step, the same sound rang out again, louder this time. He hurriedly looked around, but nothing was out of the ordinary, just sand, rocks, and more sand. Shaking off the feeling of paranoia, he took another step, and the world shattered. The stone under his feet crumbled in an instant, and surrounded by the sound of smashing and falling rock, he dropped, slamming into the ground with a metallic thud as dust and sand rained over him. His head struck the floor below, and his vision shot black. To be continued. Thank you for tuning in to the Flash Fantasy Variety Show today. We hope you enjoyed that story, and we'd love to see you again soon.